Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about Dracula by Bram Stoker, and I decided to read this book because I actually read it as part of Hannah Tay's book club. Hannah Tay's a fellow booktuber. I've been following her channel for a long time. I really like her videos. And each month she picks a book to read to do as kind of like a book club read along. And this month it was Dracula. And I was super happy that she picked this book because I actually have 2 copies, as you can see, of Dracula that I hadn't read yet and that I've been meaning to for a really long time. So I thought this would be a really good excuse to finally pick them up and give them a go, so that I could do the read along with her. And I have to say, first off, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I knew that I was going to like the story. Obviously, most people know the story of Dracula is about a vampire, Count Dracula, who comes to England and starts causing havoc. And yeah, starts like biting people and whatnot. But I didn't realise how much I was going to actually enjoy this book. First off, I didn't realise it was going to be written in the style of letters and journal entries. I don't know why, just even the reviews I read on Goodreads didn't really explain that it was going to be written in this way. But I found that it really worked for the story. So if I get to the contents of the chapters, I can show you. Okay, so here's where it starts. So contents, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but it's broken down into, like I said, letters, mainly journal entries, diary entries, from various different people in the story. So the first few chapters are by Jonathan Harker, and then it goes on to letters between Lucy and Mina. Mina is Jonathan's wife, and Lucy is her friend. And it goes on, yeah, and it just goes on. There's quite a few characters. There's also Dr. Stewart's. You get to see his diary entries. And there are some of Dr. Stewart's entries spoken by Van Helsing. And yeah, so it kind of goes on like that. All the chapters are split into the different entries. And I found that it worked really well because I liked all of the characters. There wasn't really any character that I found annoying or disliked. I enjoyed reading the journal entries in the different characters' personalities. I thought it was really good. The first few chapters of Jonathan, he does a really good, he describes his location atmosphere really well, so I thought that was really well done. The atmosphere in this book's very creepy. I read this mainly at night time, which I think helped with the atmosphere of the overall story. It was quite creepy. It takes part in Dracula's castle, and then when he moves to England, it's the perspective of these various different people. And yeah, just the correspondence between them all I thought was great. The writing style for a classic I didn't find hard to read at all, which is something that puts me off classics sometimes. I'm quite a slow reader as it is. So when I think of classics and I think of extremely wordy books, it takes me even longer because, to absorb the information and what's happening. But I didn't find the case with this. It flowed really nicely. It was a nice writing style. And yeah, the story was really good. If you are a horror fan and you've been wanting to try this for a while, I would definitely say give it a go. I would probably do this as a reread as well, just so I can go back, if I missed anything. I read this, so I started off reading in this edition alongside audiobook, which was uploaded to YouTube. You can find it if you type in Dracula audiobook on YouTube. It comes up with a few. But then I switched to this edition. I'll explain why. The audiobook was good, but I actually found I could read it faster just on my own. So I kind of listened to the audiobook while I was cleaning, and then at night time I was reading it from this book. However, these books, these are the Penguin cloth bound classics, and they look beautiful, but they're not the most practical books to read from. I have a few of them, and I stopped buying them because I don't know if the camera's going to show this, but as I was reading it, I kind of end up scuffing off some of the pattern on the cover. And it's not so bad on this one, but it was really, really bad on my Alice in Wonderland edition. I'll have to show that sometime. It's such a shame. But a lot of the cover scuffed off. And I didn't think this one was doing too bad until I placed it upside down on the counter, literally like that. And the counter wasn't even dirty. Lifted it back up, and then I got these little white scuff marks, which is really, really annoying. You know, because these aren't cheap and they are beautiful, so for them to get damaged that quickly is kind of frustrating. Also, when you are trying to read these editions, they don't want to stay open, like they just ping straight back because of the way it's bound. So when I was reading it, you kind of have to, the pages don't want to stay apart unless you really crack the spine. And when you do that, I don't know if you can see, I did that to try and force it open, and I got a little bump in the binding there, as you can see, and it didn't go back. So I felt like I was going to break it, which is a bit rubbish really, and I didn't want to break the book, so I kind of gave up on that. But luckily I had this Barnes & Noble edition, which I would recommend over the cloth bound books any day. They are bigger and bulkier to read from, but it was just way more comfortable to read from. The pages stay open really nicely, like you can open them fully, and like the ease and stays open. Font's not too bad a size, and the book doesn't get a scuff. You can turn any page and it stays open, so you don't have to worry about cracking the spine. I'll show you there. It kind of rocks up a little bit, but it feels okay, like it feels sturdy, whereas this one didn't feel sturdy. I felt like I was going to break the entire book when I tried to open it up, whereas these ones don't. So I prefer these. I mean, they're both beautiful editions, it just kind of depends what you want to read from. But I love this edition. It's the like I said, the Barnes & Noble leather bound. I've had this one longer, and it's moved house with me, you know, and it's been moved around and knocked quite a lot. And when I put that one away, I brought this one out to read, you know, my son knocked it off the side and everything, and the foiling and stuff on it is still absolutely perfect. No scuffing, no marks. It stayed in really, really great condition. So that's just a thing to consider when you're buying these cloth bound books. I don't feel like, if you really want to read a book and reread it over and over again, I don't really feel like these are the editions you can do that in, whereas these ones I do. And so yeah, I ended up finishing the book, started it in the cloth bound, then I listened to some audiobook, and then I finished it in this edition, which I will prefer. This is the edition that I'm going to reread it in as well. But yeah, enough on that tangent of comparing books. I might do a whole video, because I have a few of these books and a few of the cloth bound, and I might do a whole video comparing them on pros and cons to both, so that you can make your minds up if you are debating which editions to buy. But I would recommend this one. And yeah, overall the story, back to the story of what this review is actually about. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's kind of inspired me to try some more classics. I have Frankenstein as well, unfortunately only in the cloth-bound edition, but I might try and read that through October for another spooky classics read. I feel like now I've started, I want to continue investigating these classics. But yeah, if you're a horror fan, I highly recommend Dracula. I feel like it's a very popular story. I like the way he was even written at the beginning of the books, when he's, you know, talking to Jonathan. I actually quite liked him as a character. I did find it funny, he's described as having when they describe what Dracula looks like, he's described as having a moustache in this, and I don't know why, but every time I read that description of him, it made me laugh out loud. I don't know why, I just found the idea of Dracula having a moustache hilarious, because I don't think in any of the films or any of the other like retellings of Dracula or what have you, did he have a moustache? I don't think he did. I could be wrong, but I remember seeing like the old black and white films, and I'm pretty sure he didn't have a moustache. And I don't know why I find that so funny, but I did. And yes, overall a big hit for me. I liked the way it was written. The characters were great. It was spooky. There was a little bit of humour. I just thought it was really, really well written. A very good horror story to read, especially around Halloween time. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah, I just really recommend. And if any of you guys have read this book and have some thoughts, then please leave them down below. Or if you have any questions, please leave them down below. Or any classic recommendations, let me know. If you've, because I really haven't read any classics, to be honest. Not that I can think of the top. Or maybe like The Jungle Book. I read that a while back. Like some of the children's classics I have. But not like, you know, horror fiction. So if you have any horror classics to recommend to me, then please let me know, because that would be cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching. I hope I didn't ramble on too long. And yeah, until next time, bye guys.